In this video I want to talk about, or just give a brief overview of all of the typewriters that I have as of today, November 19th, 2016. I think altogether I have about 25 typewriters, ranging from the late 19th century to the late 20th century. There's quite a few gaps between the decades, but regardless, there are some very nice pieces here, and I wanted to give you a quick overview of the machines. Some of these I have reviewed. There are separate reviews of individual typewriters, and you might also see some typewriters that I haven't reviewed yet that will be coming up. So this is the 1911 Underwood Number 5. I got this from the mother of a friend who sadly passed away during the process of me getting this typewriter, which is also a reason why I decided to keep this Underwood Number 5. You know, I used to own 6 of these, and besides the fact that this one is still in good condition, you know, the story behind it and the fact that it's a friend was the main reason why I decided to keep this one over the other ones. It types very nicely. It's a great machine to use, and as most of you know that have worked with these typewriters, cleaning them and refurbishing these machines is just very easy. I can take one apart like this in about 5 minutes time, and working on this is very easy. Then here's the 1919 Elsie Smith & Brother number 8, which I picked up a couple years ago from a fellow collector. The typewriter, you know, it appears to have been repainted at one point, so it looks kind of rough, but it types very nicely and the paper grabs really well. So that's also a reason why I decided to keep this one. Besides that, it just looks really nice. You know, it's definitely a very old machine. It will be 98 in 2017, and I actually enjoy using it. It has the very old style typewriter font, unlike some of the other ones. So doing correspondence on this is great. Then here is the 1897 Remington Number 8, which is a little bit more rare than, for example, the number 6 and the number 7, because it features a wide carriage. This typewriter is upstrike, and it has wooden parts, which is the part that connects the keys to the type bars inside, which I don't know if you can see, but it's an upstrike mechanism. And the decals are also in great shape, as is the pinstriping. I just do not have the best light here to show you. Then this is the 1932 Royal Number 10 typewriter. This is very close to the end of its era. This typewriter was replaced with the Royal KHM. I think it was back in 1933, I think those came on the market. So it's one of the very last years of this model. It already has the newer style mechanism, which was also introduced in the KHM. Which is basket shifts, and just a few parts that were not used in the earlier number 10s. It has single pane windows, and they're all in great shape, as is the paint. But I think I already made a review of this one, so have a look on this channel and get a more in-depth tour of this typewriter. Then this is a typewriter I haven't reviewed yet on this channel, but which I will do so in the future, and it's my 1915 Oliver Number 9 typewriter. I picked this up, I think, well, it was in the early years. I think it was 2010, so about 6-7 years ago. I still need to repair it. As you can see, it's still missing that key. I still haven't had a chance to have the platen recovered, so I will do so in the future. One thing with this typewriter that's uncommon with Oliver's is the fact that cosmetically it's in very nice shape. All the decals are there, all the paint, well, almost all the paint is there. There's just a tiny chip over there. And these machines tend to age very badly, but unlike those other ones I've seen, this typewriter actually cosmetically is in very nice shape. This typewriter, this is my latest acquisition. This is my third Empire Number 1, and as you can see, it still has the original tin case. Although it's not in the best condition. It has a split here at the front, and this is all that's left of the leather handle, which feels completely dried out. But it really has protected the typewriter well over the years, and as you can see, it is in very nice condition. I haven't even touched it. I haven't even had the chance to clean it. I will take it apart in the future and thoroughly go through it, because this is definitely a machine worth preserving. One of the lug nuts is missing, but I will be looking for a replacement, and they are not very uncommon. I actually might have seen them at home hardware stores. So that is a project for the future. Then here is the 1926 Remington number 12. This is a piece I also have had for years, and I'm still, adding to it bit by bit. Through the years I've had a chance to polish the paint and clean off some corrosion that the machine had. I still need to buy a paper support clip for it, as well as a ribbon spool locking pin, which might sound terribly confusing, but basically it's the pin that holds the spool in place. To continue, this is a 1927 Royalton typewriter. So this is the earlier version of the 32, and therefore it has the older style mechanism. This has not yet been influenced by the KHM, which was the successor of the number 10. It still has the single pane windows, but this one has carriage shift, which is an indicator it's older. And the mechanism altogether has some features that are a little bit different from the later versions. Otherwise, this typewriter is pretty much exactly the same. I got this was off of Craigslist for a ridiculously low sum of, I think it was $20 or something. And the owner that I got it from, she owned it for 50 years. She sued us cover for it back in the 70s, and I thought it worked so well I decided to keep it. The typewriter needed a new drawband, as did my other number 10, but they're very easy to replace on these machines, so that was no problem. And the mechanism works great, so it's a really nice machine to use. Royaltons and Underwood Number 5s are my favorite typewriters, and for very good reason, because they're so incredibly durable. For more in-depth tour of this machine, I suggest you go look at that other video. Down here we have a machine that's more special to me than to anybody else. It's the first typewriter I ever bought. It's a 1962 Underwood Typemaster, which is related to the Underwood Touchmaster number 5 typewriter from around the same era. This is the more luxurious version. It has more durable panning, and it has things like a power space, touch control, things like that, which the Touchmaster did not feature. This machine also has a rather unusual mechanism which works with chains to drive the power space. It has plastic gears, which sometimes worry me because of course this typewriter is now 55 years old, and I can imagine that after all those years the plastic will become fragile. But I've used this machine a lot. I tried to take care of it, and it still works very nicely. And they are actually not as common as the Touchmaster, so that was also a plus. I've had this machine for close to 8 years now, I think. Then over here is a 1939 Imperial 50, which is in very nice condition, except the platen is as hard as a rock. So I do not use this typewriter a lot, mainly because it just completely shreds the paper when I'm using it, as well as just the fact that I'm afraid it's going to damage the mechanism because of the impact that the keys make on the platen. But this typewriter has the pull-out feature for the type bars. So cleaning this is very easy. And then over here are my other two Empires. That one came with the 1897 number 8 Remington from the horse stable, and I picked this up off of Craigslist for not a lot of money. Just, really good prices usually. I have the feeling this one is a little bit newer because of the individual shift keys instead of the single shift key that the older machines feature, as well as the fact that the space bar does not interfere with the keyboard, while this one does, as you can see. But the records are quite vague on these machines, and from what I can find they're from 1892. However, all three of my Empires work. The thing is though, these usually have, or these have a, I think it's 1.5 inch ribbon, and I don't think they're manufactured anymore. Or if they are, I still have to find the person or the company that does, because all I can find really for old manual typewriters is just these standard 1/2 inch ribbons, which actually Staples also stopped selling recently. So then, if you are wondering, or whether you are not, I'm going to tell you anyways. This is the this was a feature that Remington had back in the day. This was an option you could buy for your typewriter. This is a separate detachable tabulator mechanism for a Remington 10 from around 1915. Now, this came with my Remington 8, which also worked on that machine, but I think they're better used on the number 10 Remingtons. I use it for display mainly now because, as I said earlier, my number 8 Remington needs bearings and it's now also just a display piece. But this has the stamp. You can see what it says. It says, for those that cannot see it, this is not my usual camera, so quality is not that good. This is a Remington Goring tabulator. It was protected by the American and foreign patents. MFD in Illinois. It says Elion, I think. Elion, New York, USA. That's what it says. So yeah, and then here you have the various tab. If you have various tab stops, these will move individually. This one is moving a knob, but the other ones are there. Then over here is a Royal P from 1929 in dual red-black color, and then down here is a 54 Royal HH and a 1960 Remington Noiseless, which is not that common because 60 was one of the very last year they made noiseless Remingtons, and production really cut down after 1958. So despite the fact that it's not in great condition, it's a nice piece to have. So besides that, I do not have a whole lot of other typewriters in the closet, but they're in storage. So I have a Brother Activator 889, a Eaton 400, I think it's called. Can't even remember. They're usually 60s machines, and then I have my grandfather's Olympia Elite 1945. I will, if they're not up already, I will make individual reviews of those machines and I will put them on this channel. So here you have it, a bit of a tour of my museum. I've done it a few times before, but of course changes always happen, and as you can see, typewriters come and go. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, you know how to reach me.